You're listening to The Coach Show with Coach Banks, Coach Swanson, Coach Kozlerich, and Coach Doherty on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Sit back and enjoy the show. The views and opinions discussed in this podcast are not necessarily the opinion of the host or the Coach Show on the Coaching Culture and Athletics Radio Broadcast Network. Let's get it done.
All right, it is Wednesday, February 26th. This is leap year week, man. And I don't know, I don't even know how to take that. But anyway, hey, you're listening to CCA, the Wednesday edition of the Coach Show on the CCA Broadcast Network. Tonight's show is sponsored by the book, The Mad Culture Present in Athletics, written by author Charles Banks, moi. And you know what? Here's a few things out there that's brand new for us. Looking to become a sponsor of a growing organization or interested in joining our podcast team, email us at coachingcultureandathletics@gmail.com. That's coachingcultureandathletics@gmail.com, or message us via Twitter at CCA Culture or on the Facebook Coaching Culture and Athletics page. Tonight is just me and Swanson. We're kicking back. And you know what's awesome is we're actually now live on 3 different streaming platforms, on Spreaker, YouTube, which is brand new, and also on the Facebook page. So it's exciting, man, that we're able to grow and grow and grow here. And, we're adding some things. So therefore, the sponsor thing, is pretty good. But, Coach, it's pretty amazing. And each Wednesday show that we do, we're going to do a Twitter follow of the week. And this week is 2020 Astros Shane Tour, folks. So if you're a Houston Astros fan and you're upset, I apologize, but we followed this Twitter account.
Oh, yeah. I think this is definitely worth a follow. You're going to get nothing but high-quality videos making fun of the Astros. It's unfortunate that it comes to this, but, we live in a society where technology has all these capable advances, and people are going to find ways to make everyone laugh out of it. And knowing what the Astros have done, being cheaters and whatnot. It'll be a good follow. There are some interesting videos on there already, some good ones, some funny ones, and it's probably going to post a lot throughout this baseball season about what the Astros are going to experience and go through.
Now, here's something to keep in mind. I mean, it's all fun and games. You know what I'm saying? Anytime that we look at social media, stuff like that, but it kind of goes along with the concept that we're going to discuss tonight, which is outside noise within organizations. Now, sometimes it is self-imposed, like this cheating scandal that went on. Well, and it's actually not even a scandal. It happened, where they stole signs, there's going to be a lot more outside noise, in response to this Houston Astros thing. And it's unfortunate because they had a lot of great players, that I followed. They had some great coaches in there. And, if I'm the New York Mets, I'm damn mad, man, because, you get Carlos, you sign him as your manager, then all of a sudden you got to let him go because of the scandal.
Yeah, and this does feed into what we're going to talk about. But it is unfortunate that they decided to do this, and that from manager and GM, they knew about this, it seemed like, and they let it happen. And I think what's worse is, the guy who spoke out about it now pitches for the Oakland A's. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But other athletes like David Ortiz and Pedro Martinez coming out and calling him a snitch and all that. I'm sorry. I don't know why we're angry at this guy at any point. He built something that changes the legacy of numerous MLB players. It changes the legacy of Clayton Kershaw and his postseason record because of what the Astros did. So, I'm happy for him. I'm applauding him coming out for the integrity to come out because he's helping the integrity of the game. If not, who knows how much longer this would have gone for the Astros. Could have gone on another 4 or 5 years, and that could have been another, 4 or 5 titles. So, I think it's great that the guy came out and admitted that, hey, this is what the Astros were doing. It changed the concept of baseball. I think it changed the dynamic and how we view baseball now. So I just think it's great. And the Astros are they're going to get worked over a little bit this year. I think a lot of their guys are going to get kind of tired of being hit by pitches. I expect to see quite a few brawls with the Astros this year.
And it is part of the game, but I expect some pretty stiff penalties against the teams that do that against the Astros as well, if they can prove that. But here's just kind of a ramble here. Every team has probably cheated at one point, or another when you talk about science, right? So
I would agree with that.
But here's one thing before we get into our topic, which, by the way, tonight here, and I'll get that running banner, man. This is so cool. How many great things that we have here. Let's see. Yeah, isn't that awesome to have a running thing? It almost feels like we're part of the ESPN broadcast network, man. It's exciting. But anyway, here's what I'd like to say. Pete Rose, dang it, if you're going to get rid of a guy forever, arguably one of the best baseball players of all time, for gambling, and he didn't even I don't know, but if these cheaters. Isn't that just as bad?
I agree completely. I think it's worse in all honesty because, it was just Pete Rose. This was a whole team. This was manager, GM, pitchers, catchers, batters. This was everyone. So in my mind, this is worse than what Pete Rose did, in all honesty. Pete Rose impacted his own career. He did a lot of stuff on his own that was amazing. But overall, the way the Astros cheated, it wasn't just one guy doing it. It was a whole organization doing it. So in my mind, that's worse. If you're not going to punish the Astros to an extent where you have players suspended or postseasons missed, then Pete Rose deserves to be let off the hook and in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Well, at the very least, put an asterisk beside his name saying you got in trouble for gambling, much like the steroid guys, all right? Sammy Sosa, one of the arguably the greatest ball player that ever lived as a Chicago Cub. Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, all these guys, by George, their balls, their baseballs, okay? I have to be specific, are in Cooperstown, folks. So why not just put an asterisk? Because they're going to have to put an asterisk beside this Houston Astros World Series. Agree or disagree?
I agree. I think they have to put an asterisk by it. That or honestly, I'm fine with them vacating it. In all honesty, but the issue with vacating it means that the team still won. They still did the things right on the field. Yes, they were cheating when they were batting, but they still had the field and pitch and all that other stuff. So I'm not a fan of vacating titles because the other team didn't win the games, but an asterisk has to go by it, in my opinion. I don't think there's any question about that. But the way MLB Commissioner Manfred's handled it, I think he botched this. I think a lot of the baseball players lost a lot of respect for him, and I know how Goodell gets a bad rap for the NFL. Silver gets one for the NBA sometimes. I think Manfred's taking the cake right now. I think he's got to be the most hated commissioner in all professional sports.
Okay, so Manfred said, it's not that big a deal. It's just a garbage ornament.
Yeah, I can't believe he said that. The trophy that has the commissioner's name on it, the commissioner's trophy, he says just a piece of metal. And I know he came out and apologized, but if that's how you truly feel in that moment, then why are you even the commissioner of baseball? If you're not trying to uphold the integrity of the game, why are you even there? It makes zero sense to me. He has to do a better job.
Yeah, he's definitely not a Bud Selig.
No, definitely not.
My goodness. But anyway, folks, I apologize for that rant, but definitely follow that Twitter account. I got to make sure that I have it. It's 2020 Astros Shane Tour. And you're going to want to check that out because there's going to be some stuff in there that'll be good and bad and indifferent. I do want to give a shout out tonight because right now at Washington High School in the Class 2A regional final, the number 9 Van Buren County Warriors, 21-3, are battling the number 6 West Branch, 20-3. That has to be a great game, and we'll be following that in our 40-minute segment, folks. But good luck to the Van Buren Warriors. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah. You always root for your conference teams to go advance, and make it to the state tournament teams you play. So good luck to them. Good luck to West Burlington as they play Comanche, the next couple of days. Good luck to Notre Dame playing Pekin. I'd love to see a lot of Southeast Iowa Super Conference teams make the state tournament. I think it's one of the more, most underrated conferences in the state of Iowa, but there's some good talent down here.
Mike Redloff, I got to give him a shout out. He's the assistant coach at the West Burlington ball club, and they're pretty excited. They have a tall task ahead of them with Comanche, though.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a tough game. But I called West Burlington upsetting West Branch. West Burlington, the best thing about them is their players have this cocky attitude where they don't care who they're playing. They believe they have a chance to win. And so you never know how that's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen when you get to these, sub-state games. Maybe, Comanche shot's not falling. Who knows? But I think it'll be an interesting game. And I would not be surprised to see West Burlington pull it off and make the state tournament.
And also, the upset of the year thus far, and you called that one as well. It was New London over Waco, and perhaps one of the greatest ball players in the Midwest. He's only a freshman, folks, but he's doggone good. We saw him twice this past year.
Oh yeah, New London. I expected him to beat Waco, and I love Waco. Great coach in Paul Kissel, great players. Very kind, very respectful. But New London has this tradition, and with the Swanson kid and Blaze Porter, who's the freshman, dropped in 19 in the fourth quarter. To have him come from behind and win by about 8, I think it was 8. I wasn't surprised. I think this New London team, they started 2 freshmen and they had 2 seniors start. They're going to be tough in the future, but they play well. They play aggressive, and I think honestly it took them a while to get gelling together a little bit to play at a high level, but they finished off the end of the season strong. So I can see them possibly winning the next few games and maybe making the state tournament.
They're tough. They're definitely tough. When you look at that aspect. But let's talk about our main topic tonight, which is outside noise. I have outside noise culture killers, and what can we do as coaches? And I'm just going to throw this out there. Anytime that there's outside noise in my, from my 20 years experience, anytime that I've experienced outside noise. A lot of times, teams, underachieve, or it's the jealousy and animosity as far as playing time, those sorts of things. And, I'm not just going to say it's just the parents, because it's not. Sometimes it goes into the community, it goes into, different various aspects. It also goes against, officials, referees, this, that, and the other. And, we've definitely opened up a can of worms with tonight's topic, folks, but I think it needs to be stated. Outside noise. Go ahead, Coach. I know you have a ton of crap rolling around in that brain of yours.
I agree. I think outside noise is one of the hardest parts about sports anymore at any level. You even get NFL players who are paid to play the game, some of the best athletes in the world, and you have people blowing up their Twitter account about fantasy football. That's outside noise. Blowing up that they're not playing well, that they're a bum or whatever, which I love the guys who sit on the couch tweeting to NFL players or professional athletes, hey, you're a bum, why can't you do this? As a guy sitting on the couch, eating pizza and, scratching his belly thinking, man, I could do that. Whatever. But those are professionals. They get paid the big bucks. They can handle it. It's no big deal. Sometimes they retaliate back and say ridiculous things like maybe a Baker Mayfield or whatever. But when you get to the high school level, it's completely different. High school is supposed to be about adversity, handling it, overcoming it, and learning how to become and grow as a person. But before we jump in more, let's define what outside noise is.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of people always think the outside noise is just, parents. It's not. Outside noise comes from everything. It's parents. It's community members. It's peers. It's friends. It's literally anyone that's not within the team dynamic. So if it's not players or coaches, anything outside of that is outside noise. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And any time that you're looking at an organization and you look at the culture, it's defined by every moving aspect that's around the sport or the activity in general. This outside noise can come from inside noise, right? If you look at big time culture killers are when coaches don't have each other's backs. Now, I'm not to say that if anything illegal were to take place, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being able to handle it. Like if you're talking to parents outside or community members or administrations, you know that you're all on the same page and that you're trying to design a culture of trust, right?
I agree completely. And you brought up a great point, is making sure that inside noise stays inside. It's okay for coaches to have disagreements. It's okay for that. It's okay for players to have disagreements. It's okay for players to disagree with coaches and talk to the coaches about it. But the moment that inside noise goes to the outside, and players are, telling their parents, well, coach doesn't listen to what I have to say or whatever, or assistants going to, admin, or parents saying, yeah, I don't know why I'm coaching with this guy. He really doesn't know what he's doing. Then we have a problem. Then we have a culture killer. Then we have people, saying, well, if he's not doing what I think's best or what this coach thinks best, then I'm just going to take him and practice him on my own, or this or that. That's where it gets messy. So it's really important that you contain the inside noise within your team, within your coaching community, and then you work together to handle the outside noise. Because we brought this up quite a few times this year with our players, is we got to make sure we just get rid of the outside noise. Don't listen to it. Because when we go down that path, we go down that road and listen to that outside noise, you're not going to have a successful team or program at any point.
If there's one little bit of doubt, okay, and doubt destroys any good team. All right, if there's any little bit of doubt, then at that point, things have to change. It's as simple as that. But how do you fix that? Well, you become a part of a staff where you feel like it's a brotherhood and not necessarily like you're a yes man within that organization. Agree or disagree?
I agree completely. You have a collective goal. As a staff, you have a collective goal. Like, this is what we want to achieve. And it doesn't matter where the ideas come from. I hate the notion that the head coach is the one that has to know everything offensively, defensively, skill-wise, drill-wise, everything. That's not necessarily true. You look at some of the better programs in the state of Iowa. I look at Northland, where it's co-head coaching. They work together. Just because you have the title head coach doesn't mean you're the all-knowing. And one of my mentors said this to me, that when you think you know it all, you know nothing. Because the game's ever changing. There's always new ideas, new ways to do things. So once you and your staff get on the same page, and you know that you have each other's backs and that you have a common goal, like our goal is to develop these young men to handle adversity, to become better every single day, and to make sure that they leave everything they have on the court, win or lose. And if that's our goal, that's what we're trying to do, and we all agree to it, then there shouldn't be any issues going forward. To each one of us, it might look different what that looks like, but that's okay. The success looks different to everyone. But as long as we understand that that's what we're going for, and we can kind of agree that this is what it should look like, there shouldn't be any problems.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to give us our first update. West Branch and Van Buren. West Branch is up 6-2 with 3:18 left to go in the first. So this looks like it's going to be a defensive juggernaut. So, wow.
Low scoring game.
Absolutely. Defense, though, right? Defense. Now, kind of back to where we were going with this. I've had the opportunity to coach alongside a plethora of head coaches in various sports, and I've been a part of those staffs, Evan, that where the head coach said, hey, you do everything, according to me. I'm a micromanager, this, that, and the other. And that really didn't work well for me. I mean, I battled through the adversity because number one, I'm always there for the kids, first, and you are too. And I don't think that enough people hear that stuff. But to be a part of a staff where we don't feel like we're stepping on each other's toes, this, that, and the other, it's definitely got a comfortable realization. That doesn't go to say that we don't have those arguments, but we do keep that inside noise and we put it away. And we don't do it around the kids either.
Oh, agreed. I mean, you and I, we've had disagreements on the bench, disagreements at halftime, but we talk it out. We take time to talk it out before we talk to the kids, and we find some common ground, and that's beneficial. But there are programs in which there are micromanagers as head coach, and that's not beneficial. That's not okay, because then the assistants are wondering, why am I even here? If I can't help and give my 2 cents, why am I even here? Because he brought me in because of my knowledge, and yet now he's not using it. Every coach has something to offer. Every coach does. And so if the head coach doesn't want to utilize it, you're going to start getting that inside noise and start going to go outside. It's going to be going out to the parents and to the community members, and it's basically going to be, yeah, I'm there, and this is what I thought we should do, and I brought it up, but the head coach didn't want to hear what I have to say. And then at that moment, your culture is going to go downhill and go downhill quick.
Yeah, it's in a hurry. Whether or not the assistant coach is talking to other teachers, whether or not it's talking to the administration, whether or not they're talking to community members, that stuff happens. And what I've noticed that a lot of times people don't understand. I mean, there is such a thing as positive outside noise. I'm not going to say it's all negative, but there's a lot of times I don't think that people truly understand how fast it gets back to the coaching staff, that there's different issues. And I've talked to a lot of different coaches here, and this is something that we're going to, Coach Swanson and I are actually, we're co-writing a book, guys, that's going to come out before October, and it's going to be exciting. I'm not even going to tell you the doggone name of it because it'll throw it away, but let's just go to say that it's going to be good, and it's now I sound like Donald Trump, didn't I? It's going to be really good. It's going to be really, really good. No, but yeah, I don't know. But how do you engage with a group of community members or parents or administration when the outside noise becomes a little bit too much?
So let's backtrack for a second. Say we have our organization and we've contained. We've got inside noise. We tell our players this is not how we do things. All right, and that's good. Your players say they're in. They buy in. Your staff's in. You got that collectiveness, that cohesiveness within your team and your staff. That's great. But then the outside noise starts coming in. All right, I think the most important thing is to kind of remedy this a little bit. Is I invite parents to practice. Invite them to see the small things, because I do not think, I know that parents do not understand how hard it is to be a head coach for high school sports. I really don't. I think a lot of parents think that we just roll out a ball and say, you know what, that's all they have to do, and the kids should know how to play it. It's so hard to be a high school coach because it's not just teaching the game. It's teaching personalities, having to deal with each one and understand what each personality needs and what each player needs to be better. It's understanding that kids have stuff going on at home, in school, girlfriends, family members, all that stuff that are difficult, and they have to handle that. And they have to process those emotions in a quicker time frame than are used to so they can get their head right and be a part of this team and help be successful. And then you have to deal with everything else, improvement and skill-wise, mental capabilities, everything, all that. So as you're not just a coach, you're a therapist, you're everything. You wear so many hats. And I don't think parents understand that our sole job, they think sometimes our sole job is just to coach these kids in basketball, make them really, really good, and then if they don't win, it's back on the coaches. And that's not how it works. And we have to have parent buy-in. I think the most important part is ask the community members to come to practice, come to weights, come to open gyms. Because I think parents would be surprised at how few kids show up for that stuff. Now, in the good programs, they get good attendance, but in the program that we're trying to build, we're kind of struggling a little bit. It's hard to gain traction at a school that historically has not been a powerhouse in any sport. And that's not a knock, it's just the reality. I'm all about being honest and being very straightforward. So as soon as you can have the parents come in and understand that, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve, explain that to them. Which, unfortunately, I haven't done the best job at that. I think, at our banquet on Mondays, the first time I actually said, this is what our goal is. Because I assumed, and that's the coach's fault, that the parents knew what my goal was. They knew what we had to do. And I think a lot of parents, players, don't fully understand that. And so explaining that, breaking that down to them, and then asking the parents to be a part of that and saying, hey, I want your help. I need your help to make this happen. At that moment, I think you'll start getting a little more parent buy-in.
Yeah, and also, what do you think about this? What do you think about not only having a preseason meeting, but having maybe a mid-season meeting, and then you have your banquet at the end? Do you think that would help?
I think it would help a little bit. You're never going to just cancel out all the outside noise because there's always going to be parents, family members, community members, whatever, that think that the coach is an idiot and they don't know what they're doing. Okay, I mean, there are people who say about college coaches. There are people that have been saying about Nick Saban the past 2 years because he hasn't won a title. Let's get real. I think it could be beneficial. I think it could go one or two ways. I think it depends on the community members that you have. It could be very beneficial in the fact that you're, re-engaging with them, you're telling them what's going on, what you need to see done. But I think it can also be a very negative thing in which parents are sitting there, they're angry because their kid's not playing, they're stewing because your record's not that good, and you're saying, well, we're trying this and doing this and doing this, and the parents are sitting there like, yeah, okay, well, why isn't it working? Why aren't you doing this? How do you not know what's going on? So I think it really depends on the dynamic of the parents that you have, and also how well your season's going. If you're 0-12 and you want to call a parents meeting to discuss how the season's going and what you need done, I don't think you're going to have too many happy parents sitting there saying, but we're trying it all, but it's still not working. Because at the end of the day, the hardest thing to realize, and as a coach, you realize it fairly quick, that when you have success, it's the kids. When you have failures, it's the coaches. Unfortunately, that's not always an accurate statement, but in the world of sports, that's how it's seen.
I've experienced, sometimes, and I'm just gonna, I'm not really shifting gears, but sometimes even after a good win, sometimes even after you go 9-0 and you're in the playoffs for football, and sometimes when you're 18-4, in a baseball team or whatever, sometimes this outside noise gets negative as well within there, because there's a lot of times that there's so much pressure out there, and I don't know why that parents put so much pressure on themselves, because in reality you should go and sit, watch the game. And as soon as the game's over, you should say, "Hey, son," or "Hey, daughter, let's what do you want to eat tonight?" And quit trying to coach them constantly. And I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, this is 100% honesty. I had a daughter. Well, I still have her, but anyway, Chelsea was a wonderful athlete. I put an immense amount of pressure on her, and I was vicariously living my life again through her. And I had no idea that she was as unhappy as she was. And you know what? She was a Division II catcher, and she hit 18 home runs. So, and she was a varsity player as an 8th grader. So no one can argue that point. But I was living vicariously through her life. You know what? I stopped that with my other two. And by the way, my oldest daughter, she does remind me that I treat my other two different. But I stopped that. You know what? Their development as human beings is truly amazing. And, ultimately at the end of the day, until a parent, and I say this as a coach and a parent and somebody that's been through it, folks, and until you remove that it's about me out of that kid's life, it's about them. As soon as you do that, then outside noise, poor culture, all that sort of crap will leave. Period. And I truly believe that.
Oh, yeah, I agree completely. And I think you bring up a great point, is that parents try to live through their kids' athletic careers because theirs weren't that stellar, or they want another crack at it. Or they think that their ability as a player, an athlete, is a reflection of them parenting, which is utterly ridiculous. Okay? Your parenting style has nothing to do at any point with how good a kid's athletic ability is. What does show your parenting style is how polite, hardworking, kind, those are the things that reflect on you as a parent, not how well they can throw a football, hit a baseball, or shoot a basketball. That has zero reflection on any parent whatsoever. And no parent should ever be judged by a kid's athletic ability. But we live in a society now where, oh man, my kid's this, and this, man, I've pushed them so hard, blah, blah, blah. And then you have this parent next to them thinking, God, did I do enough? I guess not, I got to push them harder. All right, son, let's do this. You got to do this, and this. It doesn't work that way. Not at all. And the most important thing is the parent cannot want it more than the kid. I think a lot of times anymore, parents want success more than the kids do. And then so the kids don't show up to anything. The kids don't show up to weights or open gyms or anything like that. They don't pick up a baseball or basketball or football till that season. And then they haven't improved. And so the parent's angry, but who are they angry at? They're angry at the coaches because, well, it can't be the kid because I told him he needed to do all this stuff. Even though he didn't, it's still on the coaches.
How many times, and I realize you've only been coaching so long, but you went through the athletics ranks here not too long ago. I call you my spring chicken. I'm the old fart, right? but anyway, how many times have you seen, and I've seen it a lot, where the parents push. You know, this girl that's playing, 150 softball games a year, or the boy that's playing 100 basketball games a year. Push. And then all of a sudden, by the time that they get to college signing days, and these athletes, by the way, there's been a lot of athletes that I've coached that could have played college athletes, but decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to Iowa. I'm going to enjoy my education. I'm going to enjoy my life because I'm burnt out. Happens all the time.
Oh, it does. It's an epidemic. It truly is an epidemic. You have so many parents pushing their kids from kindergarten even, pick up a basketball, pick up a baseball, let's do it, let's do this, and this, and you know what? You're going to have to be good. What kindergartner, first grader, second grader, third grader, even fourth grader has fine enough motor skills to do these things where it's actually going to benefit them? Literally bouncing the ball up and down to the point where it comes back and hits you in the face one time is not going to make them a better athlete. Teach them how to throw 4 feet. It's not going to make them a better baseball player. I mean, we have these unrealistic expectations, but the reason is because everyone thinks that getting to play at the college level is easy. And they think they can do it. There are so many kids that think they're college athletes, and I look at them, I'm like, you don't even know what a college athlete looks like. Like, you know them on the court, but you don't know what their workout schedule is like. You don't know that they're getting up at 5 a.m. You don't know that they're going to work in the gym and then going to school and then another workout after. You don't know that. But yet we hear this outside noise from parents saying, oh, they're a college athlete. I know they are. I know they're this, and this. And coaches, I know a lot of coaches go through this. We just look at it, shake our head, and say, there's no possible way. Because this outside noise builds players up, that they're good enough as is, that they're, the best out there, but if they don't win, it's the coach's fault. And then when that starts happening and the parents start saying that, the players then look at the coach saying, I know I didn't show up to anything, but you're right, you haven't made me better. Well, how can we make you better if you don't show up to stuff?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, obviously coaches spend a lot, an absorbent amount of time with student athletes, and against contrary beliefs, us coaches are actually in the coaching ranks to develop fine young women and men, and to develop relationships that will foster, beyond our sports or whatever, and we're always there for them, checking on their grades, this, that, and the other. And I think a lot of times when you see that outside noise, coach, they don't keep into account how many times you've conversed with that particular athlete, about their grades, or about, hey, how you doing? You seem down today, something like that. They don't see that.
No, I think, and this is tough. Like, I'm a teacher, all right? You're a teacher, and we've taught all of our players at some point. And people forget that as teachers, we're there for those kids all the time. Like, we are doing everything we can to make sure they can read, write, spell, whatever, at a higher level, and we keep challenging them. And then we get to the basketball court, and we don't play them. We hold them to a higher expectation, a higher standard, which I do not know one single coach ever who has not held their athletes to a higher standard. I can't think of one. I know you do it. I know I do it. We hold our athletes to the highest standard, not just in season, but out of season, year round. And so we have those moments in which we're holding these kids to the higher standard, and we expect a lot, because in high school sports at the varsity level, it's about winning. It's about teaching them to be winners, teaching them to grow. Well, if they don't play and we're not winning, parents forget sometimes about all the stuff we do for these kids as teachers, the hours we put in, the help we do, and we're automatically villainized because of it. And it's crazy, because I know a lot of coaches. My high school head coach, he's a third grade teacher. He was a third grade teacher. Great teacher. Amazing. He was an intense basketball player. He had a towel over his shoulder to bite on sometimes because it was his way of not yelling. Villainized. But you know what? We won a lot of games. Made a lot of state tournaments. And he helped me grow. And there's never one moment, I'll always remember this, is that when my parents split up, it was during baseball season, he pulled me inside and said, hey, if there's anything you need from me, let me know. And I honestly wasn't that close with him as I'm close to my players. I loved him as a coach. Thought he was a great man, worked hard for him, but I didn't feel like we had that relationship. But he felt like we did, to pull me aside and tell me that. And then he called me a couple of weeks ago just to see how I was going. Haven't talked to the man in probably 8 years. He called me and saw how things were going. That's what a coach does. That's what a good coach does. It's not always about the kids playing on the court. It's about just being there for the kids and pushing them and challenging them. And did he frustrate me? Of course he did. Did he do stuff I didn't understand? Of course. But at the end of the day, he was one of the few guys who were there for me when I needed them, and he still keeps in tabs with me today. Hey, that's what a true coach does. I don't think a lot of parents understand that that's the best part of our job, is being there for these kids once they're gone.
Yeah, and you know what? We truly never stop coaching. You know what I mean? We may become that audience member and watching them excel in that thing called life. But I think that's important to look at. Now we're nearing 9 minutes to go. I can't believe this is like the fastest 45 minutes in sports talk history. I think, right?
Oh, it's gone incredibly fast.
Oh my goodness! It's I'm gonna check Chad Drury to see if we have another. Doesn't have any updates, so I can't give you an update on the Van Buren Warrior game against West Branch. But let's ease out here a little bit. Let's talk about some things that are coming down the hatch here with CCA a little bit, and things that we're pretty excited about. I do know that we have 4 dates marked down where Coach Swanson and I are going to attempt to do our first live broadcast, and it's going to be varsity doubleheader soccer matches. Some home matches. Pretty excited about that. Now, I remember when I brought it up to Coach Swanson, he's like, "Yeah, I don't know much about soccer," and I told him, I said, "Don't worry about it. Most people don't."
Yeah, it'll just be, so-and-so kicks the ball to the other person.
Oh, no, I know offsides, man. So
we might call a few holdings, maybe a couple travels. Who knows what happens? Maybe a couple takedowns. We'll see. 2 line passes. Who knows?
But it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I do know that Coach Shao is pretty excited about that. To be able to to do that for the community, and we're going to try to do live video. I don't know whether I can't promise anything, but at least you'll be able to hear our lovely voices. With that. With that said, too, I do see a lot of people that are watching the stream. Don't forget to shoot us a shout out. Shoot us a question. We'd like to make this as interactive as possible, because that's truly what CCA is all about. Now, this Sunday night, our coach show will take place at 7 p.m. Central. We are moving back to 7 to make things a little bit easier for us. We're going to have Chip Baker from the Success Chronicles. And Chip, I warned Chip, Evan, that, hey, man, you're going to get the whole posse in that interview. So there's going to be like four coaches, going at Chip Baker with the Success Chronicles. It's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. I can't wait to talk to him. And I think one thing people need to understand is that when we talk about success, a lot of the traits that make you successful as a coach, make programs successful, are the exact same traits it takes to be successful in business and other endeavors in your life. That's why we love sports so much, is they transfer to all aspects of your life. So I think talking to him and the questions we have, it's going to be eye-opening. It's going to be inspirational. I encourage everyone to listen.
Yeah, and we're going to have the best beard in the business. Doherty's got the best beard. I'm sorry, Coach. He's got us both beat.
Well, I can't argue with that. It is impressive what he's got going on. I don't have the patience for that.
and then the following week, I believe it's March 8th, we're going to have Chris Dewar on, the coach show. It's going to be fun. We'll probably be popping in these Wednesday night, antics, which has been a lot of fun, man. To talk about things like outside noise, to talk about the Twitter follower of the week, right? Stuff like that is just a lot of fun, man. It's great. Now, last 5 minutes or so, what do you think about this coronavirus? Do you think we should worry?
I saw something today, and I thought it was funny, and it said if your history teacher didn't teach you to be wary of your government, then he wasn't a very good teacher. And I think this kind of applies simply because we don't know exactly what's going on. I think it's something that's interesting. I think it's fascinating. I think it's scary. But I think it's something that you can't take too lightly. While people say, oh, it's not that bad, how do we know it's not that bad? You never know what's going on.
The Center of Disease Control, when they come out, it makes me a little bit nervous. And then also, if you look at the Olympics that's going to be taking place in Tokyo, I believe that the marathon has been canceled. So I mean, the NBA players are not going to be going over for the summer ball in China. I mean, this thing's pretty serious.
It is. I know people keep saying, well, more people die from the flu every year. Well, this has only been about a month, it seems like, give or take a little bit. You just have to see what happens. Who knows what's going to happen with that? It's a very dangerous thing. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, we're both social studies teachers. So news, politics, all that stuff, it's what we enjoy. So when we start rambling off on other stuff, it's just, that's who we are. We do apologize a little bit.
We were going to do a political show, folks, but we figured that we wanted to keep our job. Dr. Crozier is a great guy, and we'd like to keep our job. So we're probably not going to go jib jab, when we talk about political pundits and all that sort of stuff. But we got 4 minutes left. What's a good sound piece of advice? That you want to give to parents out there, to improve the culture and to decrease the outside noise.
I just have to say this to the parents. One thing is, if you have high expectations for your kid, you have to make sure they're putting in the work. That means in the weight room, in the off season, year round. Doesn't matter if they play multiple sports. I played multiple sports. I played football throughout the week during football season. On the weekends, I picked up a ball, a basketball. Doesn't matter. But you can't expect your kid or your kid's team to be successful and not have them train. Sports have changed since I was in high school. You used to be able to get away with just, touching a basketball here and there and lifting. Same with baseball, same with football. Now you got to put in more time because there are more kids putting in more time. So if you want to be successful, you can't just expect it to happen and expect your coach to make the kid successful without them putting in the skill work on their own or without them getting to the weights. And so if anyone ever has any questions, like, yes, I'm young, Coach Banks, we're not big professionals. This isn't a fancy podcast, whatever.
It is, too, a very fancy podcast.
We got colors and everything.
Okay.
But if you have questions, email us. We want to help coaches out. We want to help people out. We want to help sports out because sports have been a huge part of both of our lives. And so we just want to make the culture around sports, high school, youth, everything better than what it is because I think we as people can do better. So while you might not think we give the best advice or we might not have been clear on something or whatever, email us. We'll be happy to discuss it on the next show. We'll create a show maybe that evening just to discuss it. You never know. We enjoy doing this. We just want to make sports a better place for the players, for the parents, for the coaches.
Absolutely, but don't forget, folks, if you're looking to become a sponsor, if you have an organization, we are looking for sponsors of this growing organization. Or if you're interested in becoming, joining our podcast team, shoot us an email, contact us today. You have been listening to CCA, Coaching, Culture, and Athletics, the Coach Show. It's Wednesday night edition. We'll see you Sunday night.
Goodbye.